Hey, how's it going? This is a video response to Brian's last video, and I got to say, Brian, you hit a lot of good points on that. So, really, I agree with a lot of the things that you said. I just wanted to add my 2 cents in and just add some things to that, if you don't mind. First of all, I've been watching a lot of video logs and a lot of advice and different things from some of you guys, and you guys got a lot of great stuff. I have to admit, I seem to pick up something new every time I watch some of the videos. So that's what it's all about. So just keep watching the videos from other members, and you'll eventually pick up a lot of new things and a lot of great ideas as well. So I mean, it's really creative. It's just really amazing to see how things are different around different parts of the country and different parts of the world, and you learn something new every time. But now what I wanted to talk about is something that I haven't really noticed anybody else mentioning, and I'm going to go ahead and mention this now. It's time schedules. And what am I talking about when I talk about time schedules? Well, I'm not talking about the start time and the end time. What I'm talking about is setting up a time schedule to saying like the bride and groom introductions are going to be at 7:30, father bride dance 7:35, bride and groom's first dance 7:40, dinner from 7:50 to 8:50. You know what I'm talking about. Things like that. And anytime we've ever tried that, it never works out. And I've had wedding coordinators try to get me to do time schedules like that. I don't do time schedules just because the fact is that you're never going to run on time, and really the whole idea for the bride and groom is to have fun. And really, if you're sitting there looking at your watch, thinking, okay, dinner's supposed to be over in 5 minutes, we got to hurry these people up, we got to move on to the cake cutting or whatever, you can't really have fun that way. And I just think it creates more of a tense environment. I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me on that. So I don't do time schedules. And I just tell my bride and groom, we definitely want to create an order to everything, but we don't want to set up a time schedule, because when you do that, you never know how long it's going to take guests to eat, and things like that. So it's just best not to do that. But we do create a nice flow to everything. And I really agree with what Brian was saying about having the bride and groom take some time to walk around the room and things like that. Now I normally do that. Right after we do the wedding party introductions, I give the bride and groom about maybe 15-20 minutes or so just to kind of mingle around just for a few minutes. And really, that gives the banquet staff time to get the food out, if it's going to be a buffet, and they really appreciate things like that. So we take about 15 minutes to do that. And of course, I call that the cocktail hour, and I know in different parts of the country they call the cocktail hour the time before the wedding party introductions, people are coming in. But I call that the pre-reception visiting time, which basically is the same thing. But anyway, we take about 15 minutes after we do the wedding party introductions, and it just gives the bride and groom a little bit of time to walk around and socialize. Kind of creates a nice bridge between the wedding party introductions and the time that we're going to serve dinner. So that's something that I do. Now, talking about other clients and things like that, Brian was talking about his client that made a custom-made playlist. Well, I've had that happen before, but not really to the extent that Brian was talking about. I do have clients sometimes that will make me a custom-made playlist, but they'll say, just kind of use this as a guideline if you don't mind, but just do what's going to get people out there on the dance floor. And so what I'll do is I'll just mix it up between the songs that they put on their list and the songs that people are requesting, and we just kind of play it by ear. And just whatever works to get people out there dancing is what's going to happen. I mean, that's usually the way that it works, and it works out better that way by doing things. And I usually have a lot of business by that. But yeah, that's real important. And a custom-made playlist, it's not a bad thing, but what is bad is the bride and groom give you that custom-made playlist and say you can only play songs from this list. And I just touched a little bit about what Brian said on that. That'd be almost like taking your car to the mechanic and telling him, saying, "Hey, I want you to rebuild my engine, but you can only use a hammer. You can't use any other tools." Well, how are they going to be able to do that? So, I really have to agree on a lot of things that Brian said about that, and that's definitely something special. Now, name pronunciations. Well, I did a wedding not too long ago, and the groom's family was French, and they all came over from France. None of them spoke English anyway, and that was pretty hard trying to figure out their names. But I had to write them out phonetically, and it worked out good. But that's the most important thing that you have to do, is make sure that you get all the names right and even spell it out phonetically. That is a lifesaver when you really think about it. Now, for me, what I normally do for the bride and groom is I give them a form to fill out, the wedding reception information form, and they fill it out, with the names of their wedding party, the parents of both sides, the bridesmaids, groomsmen, maid of honor, best man, etc. And what I do is I type it up on a nice planner, and in order that we're going to do everything, Okay, we'll type it up and have it all in order there with the names, and I send it back to the bride and have her double check it in case we need to make any changes. She'll let me know if we need to do anything else, and that's normally how we do things, and that really helps out a lot. And then what I do is I send out that planner to the vendors. I've got a section there with all the vendors, like the wedding coordinator, and of course the caterer, the florist, and everybody else who's involved in the wedding. And I've had so many compliments on that. I've had photographers come up to me saying, you know what, we really like how you put all this together and organized it, because it really makes our life a lot easier knowing exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And it really does help out, because we don't want anybody wondering, especially the vendors. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page on everything. And like I said, that's normally what I do. Now you're probably wondering, okay, well, what order do you normally do a wedding reception? Well, for me, I normally start out with the pre-reception visiting time. That's when the guests start arriving, and like I said, a lot of you might consider that the cocktail hour. Then we do the wedding party introductions when the bride and groom get there. I usually walk out in the hallway and I'll introduce myself to them. We'll make sure that they're lined up correctly, and and I'll go back in and get everybody's attention, and we'll introduce the wedding party with the bride and groom coming last. And usually, I usually ask for a rousing welcome when the bride and groom come in. Everybody cheers. And something to that effect I got to tell you about. About 6 months ago, I did a wedding, and the bride and groom, and I am not making this up either, they wanted to come out to almost like rock stardom. Which, there is no right or wrong way to do that. But here's what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to start the lights up right before they came out and start the fog machine up, and they came out to Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. So that was pretty neat. I've never had that happen before, but it really created a nice effect, because I was on a stage, and they came from behind, and we had the fog machine going. They came out almost like rock stars coming out on the stage. And, hey, that's everybody's preferences are different, and that really worked out good for them. It was different. I have to admit that, and I tell a lot of people about that, and some of them even said, hey, that sounds like a good idea. But yeah, it worked out really well for them. But now, after the wedding party introductions, normally what I do is what I call the cocktail hour, and it doesn't go a full hour. It's like 15 minutes. And we normally give the bride and groom about 15 minutes just to kind of make their way around the room and talk to their guest and mingle just a little bit. And like I said, that creates a good bridge between the wedding party introductions and the time they serve dinner. Okay, then I'll have somebody come up and say the blessing if they want to do that. The bride and groom have somebody that they want to do the blessing. We'll go ahead and do that. And then we go into dinner. Normally, for the dinner, if it's a buffet, I normally ask the bride and groom to go first, followed by their parents, the wedding party, and then the guests. Okay, and then usually during dinner, I just play some background music. And immediately after dinner, we do the toast, if they got somebody that's going to propose a toast. Then we go into the cake cutting, and I like to get the cake cutting done right after dinner because, well, the guests can eat that as part of their dessert. But not only that, you're going to have older people that are going to leave early, and you definitely want to make sure that you get that done before then. Okay, then after that, we move right on into the bouquet throw, the removal of the garter toss, and then we move into the spotlight dances after that. And usually I start out with the father-bride dance, and then the mother-groom dance, and then the bride and groom's first dance. And the reason I do it that way is because during the bride and groom's first dance, when their song has like a minute left to go, I invite the wedding party to come out on the dance floor. And that really creates a good build-up to getting everybody out there ready to go. And then as soon as the bride and groom's first dance is over with, we open up the dance floor, and the party starts. And then usually for the at the end of the night, about 5 minutes before the contracted end time, I'll ask the bride and groom for their final dance to stand in the middle of the dance floor. And then I have everybody form a circle around them. And normally what happens there is they get with their significant others and they form a circle around the bride and groom, and they have their final dance. And that really creates a nice positive end to the reception. So anyway, I hope this has been a little bit of help to some of you guys. And that's just the way I do things. And it really does help out. And number one rule you don't want to do is you don't want to stop the music once you start the regular dancing, because I've had some wedding coordinators and people will say, okay, we're going to do some dancing, then we're going to stop and do the cake cutting, then we'll stop and do the bouquet throw, then more dancing, and then the bride and groom's final dance and stuff like that. You don't want to do that. You want to get everything done before the regular dancing begins, so that once the party begins, it's nothing but non-stop music all the way till the end. And believe me, it runs a lot smoother that way. All right, that's where we're going to leave this. And if you got any comments or questions, just drop them right down here, or drop me an email if you'd like to do that. Practice and enjoy.